What's up everybody? Today we are going to be testing the age-old question of can a Stratocaster play metal? Okay, I have the Archer Type Nolly booted up in front of me here. We're currently on the default settings on the Crunch amp. And there's not a lot of gain right now, especially compared to when I tested this plugin in my previous video on this same amp. Way less gain. Of course, we've got single coils in this guitar. Now, the guitar we're going to be using today is a Squire Stratocaster Bullet Strat. I've had this thing for years. This was my second guitar I ever owned. First guitar I bought with my own money. Chances are, if you're a guitar player, either your first guitar or at some point you have owned a Stratocaster, Squire being the big name brand in the cheap Stratocasters market. This thing, I think, cost me roughly $160 back in the day when I bought it. So really budget-friendly guitar. And we're going to see today if it can handle some high gain tones. Okay, so I'm going to jump over here to the high gain amp. We'll give this a bit of a listen. I haven't touched anything yet. That's actually sounding pretty decent already. Let's play around a bit. I'm going to bring the noise gate up just a tiny bit. So we're getting a lot of feedback from these single coils here. Alright, I'll just dial my tone in a bit. I think that's already sounding pretty damn good. It's got a decent amount of gain for what we're working with. Obviously, I've got the gain knob sitting at about a 6 now. I've definitely got a lot of play left. I can crank it up a lot more. However, I think it might be getting a bit noisy if we add too much more gain. I think that already has a nice amount of gain, especially if you're doing it in a recording setting. You don't want to cover your guitar in too much gain in the first place. I want to chuck a boost in front of this amp now and just see what we can get with a little bit of boost to see if we can tighten up the sound a bit. Okay, I actually don't like the way that boost is sounding. It's really bringing out some of that fizz, high end that single coils are kind of known for. So I want to go, let's see if we can dial back the tone a bit on that overdrive pedal. Let's see if that helps at all. Hasn't done a great deal there. Still helped a bit, but there's very fizzy high end. I'm going to jump over to our EQ here and see if we can just kick out some of these higher frequencies just a bit, play around and see if we can figure out where the noise is coming from. Okay, I've had a bit of a play around with that EQ here, and I've got something I like a bit more. I'll give you a listen. You can hear still there's a lot of that noise coming through, a lot of high-end fizz, but I think we've definitely tamed it back a bit there, playing around with that EQ. I'm going to jump over now, we're going to swap pickups here, and we're going to get a bit of a lead tone going, see how that sounds. I think that actually is a really nice tone we have there going for some of that lead. I haven't touched anything on the amp yet, so I'm going to chuck on a reverb over the top. Maybe chuck the delay there as well and see how that sounds. I think that sounds awesome there. That's a great lead tone. We get rid of a lot of that fizz switching over pickups, obviously for our rhythm guitar. It's gonna sound a little rubbish, so we'll flip back over here. Get rid of that reverb and delay. Alright, I want to jump over now to the transpose feature and drop it down just to D standard. This guitar's currently set up in E standard. I don't feel like changing the strings right now. I've just done that recently on this guitar. So we're just going to use the transpose feature today just to see how it handles some of those lower tunings. I think that sounds great. I want to quickly as well demonstrate this guitar through a free plugin, just so show you how it's going to sound if you're taking the really budget route. We've got our cheap guitar, completely free plugin here. We're playing through the amped roots. Here's how it sounds. I think that actually sounds awesome, especially for a free plugin. I think that sounds just as good, different tone, but just as good as the Archetype Nolly, which is a $200 plugin. So in conclusion, I think this guitar did a pretty decent job as at a high gain tone. It definitely doesn't compare to some of my other guitars with active pickups, a bit higher end guitars. Obviously it sounds a little loose compared to some of those, but I think it handled the gain relatively well. You're obviously going to want to be running a really good gate in front of the amp because it does make a lot of noise. It got pretty noisy then. I've got our gate. It's not too cranked, but we had a lot of noise coming through still. I didn't want to cut out any of our tone, however. But other than that, I think it handled it pretty well. And for a budget guitar, I think it sounded pretty decent.